But I got to say, the Drift Taxi was a cool car, too.
Very cool.
Like, that was right when Forsberg had built his about 2 years before I built that one, and we looked at a lot of pictures of his. Actually, when I got it built, I went to a Grid Life in that car, and he was there. And I walked up to him and talked to him for a minute, and he was the largest I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe what a jerk that guy was.
Really?
Because he seems like he's so cool, but he is a big, giant.
Wow.
He would not even talk to me. He would not even come and look at the car. He was not interested in anything anybody had to say unless they were talking about him. So
wow.
What a dirtbag.
That's my Chris Forsberg story.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift Podcast on YouTube. I'm Dawson.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Barry.
Let's get into it. Before we get into it, we got a couple announcements. Christmas merch, actually, this is the Christmas episode, so this one will come out on Christmas. So Merry Christmas. But Black Friday merch is officially gone, so if you missed out on that, that sucks. Sorry. Black Friday merch is, I think, still going. No.
I think that's one of the tropes of YouTube that people don't catch. Is
the
like
Christmas merch is still going.
Talking from the future is very weird.
Dude, it's fucking hard. I'm trying to plan it out, but I had that backwards. The Black Friday merch is done. Christmas merch is still live. You have until, actually, it'd be midnight the day this episode goes live. So get it now. But New Year's merch, that'll be coming soon. Be on the lookout for that on Instagram. So if you're not following us there, check out the description. But this is Barry Clapp. I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit.
Hey guys, Barry, Slide Factory, Tennessee Drift, Graphic Effects.
Talking to the mic. You got to keep the
Talking
mic
to the microphone.
Yeah, you got to talk right at it. It's directional. If you turn like this, it goes
I got
away.
you. Okay, yeah, I'm
move
rookie at
wherever,
this
though.
stuff.
It gets us too. It's fun.
I can make a car look good, but that's all I'm good at.
Yeah.
I feel that.
See, I can't even do that. I'm just good at windbagging.
Yeah, he sucks at it.
I do suck at it.
Anyways, so we are actually in his shop, in his business. So tell me a little bit about this business.
You know, we started this place, 15 years ago, out of my garage at my house. We live over in Mount Juliet. And I was going to the Fairgrounds racetrack. I was going to that track out there in Carthage. I was going all the way to, 2 or 3 other tracks around here, dirt tracks and everything. And we started this business lettering race cars because of our love for cars and racing and stuff. And I outfitted a 20-foot enclosed trailer with a 24-inch cutter and some vinyl racks and a fold-down counter where I could still get my race car in there.
No
and I
way.
used to go and race with those guys, and I ran super trucks up at the fairgrounds, and golly, at one time I was probably lettering 60% of the cars in every class.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, dude.
it was
pretty
just
impressive.
It was just cool, you know. It was and
Don't bump that guy.
well,
right?
it was
I mean,
funny. They'd give me some scrap about that if I got into contact with one of them or whatnot about job security. You know, I needed to make some money this week, so I'm going to rub that guy a little bit so I can sell him.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So I can sell him a new set of door numbers or something.
Hell yeah.
But didn't have too much of that to go by. But
What was your the first, I guess, client you had for this, for vinyl wrap?
for rapping in general, you know, one of the biggest ones is my good friend that's still my friend, Scott Borchetta, that owned Big Machine Records. He was running super trucks back in 05, 6, and 7. A lot of people don't know that he won the Super Truck Championship 3 years in a row down there right before he quit and started Big Machine Records. And he had just discovered Taylor Swift. And that's kind of the history on that little deal.
Listen, all right, hold on. All right, hold on. Do you know that? I don't know if I've told you this.
I think you told me a little bit about it.
My girlfriend, Kaylee, is like, you know how like on Spotify and all these different apps, it'll tell you how much of a percentage of fan you are. Top 1%, bro. She knows her birthday.
Wow.
We had one of those things. She knew what college her brother graduated from. Oh, she's a freak, dude. So yeah, she's gonna love that part of this.
I'll show you the craziest little picture. I need to show you this picture. It's over there on my counter. So they used to have like a music and racing festival down in Nashville, and they would bring some NASCAR cars into the what do you call it, the convention center down there, and they'd have concerts, and there was cars all in the concourse and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I got invited with my super truck to go down there and sit because it was outfitted as the P-51 Mustang, and everybody loved that skin.
Yeah.
It was cool.
People love that shit.
And so I went to go. I'd been standing there with my truck all day long, answering questions. At 2:00, I was like, I need to go walk around. And I went walking around, and I walked the concourse one time, and I came back, and there was a photo on the dash of my race truck, and it was one of her original Polaroid whatever's from her first album shoot with Scott.
No,
Real? You have that here?
Still got that picture
awesome.
over
Dude,
there.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm gonna video that, and I'm gonna send it to my girlfriend, and I'm gonna show you her reaction. You're gonna flip out.
It's literally right over there on that shelf to see the girl between the headlights of the old car. That's Taylor Swift at her very first album shoot. Yeah.
Dude, Kaylee's gonna trip balls, bro.
We'll take a picture of that. So
I
it's on
probably
the
just
screen.
narrowly missed meeting her, because I went for a walk, and there she came. That's the whole thing.
I'm like that too, though. No, I won't forget, dude. I won't forget.
But Scott had given her a lifted Chevrolet truck painted pink, and I had put the lettering on it because as soon as she got it, her dad kind of flipped out and didn't want her to keep it because it was such a big, crazy looking truck that she donated it to Kyle Petty's Victory Junction gang. And I did the lettering on it. So I've got a picture of it, was in magazines and everything else, where it was that pink truck with Victory Junction gang logos and Love, Love, Love Taylor Swift on it, where she gave it away.
Damn, that's crazy.
Pretty cool little story.
Dude, you're going to be my girlfriend's hero now.
Oh, yeah,
she's going to be like, he brushed shoulders with her.
Sort of, kind of.
I'm telling you, man,
Nice.
it's crazy. She's so about it.
Well, we've been blessed with some pretty cool stuff to get to do. Does anybody like that old guy named Kenny Chesney? Anybody know anything about that guy? See, I went to high school with Kenny.
Really?
I'll show you some really funny pictures in my high school annual.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Is he cool? Is he chill?
Awesome.
Yeah, he was a good little dude. He's about this tall. It's really funny.
He's like your size.
I didn't know that.
He's like 5'1", like he's a tiny little guy.
Okay, I'm like 5'9". Chill out. It's not that bad.
You got him covered.
I'm 5'9". I told my girlfriend I'm 6 foot. No, I'm kidding. I'm 6 foot. I am 6 foot.
Lies. No, I'm just kidding.
On my driver's license.
All right. So how long technically have you been in drifting then? Since I know obviously you've been in a ton of motorsports.
So I was racing down at the fairgrounds, and some friends of mine's down in Atlanta called and said, "Hey man, you ever heard of this drifting thing? They're about to have it at Road Atlanta," and that was in 2005, the first year.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Man, that's a waste of time. They're down there wasting money, and that's stupid. Why would I want to care anything about that?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they went. And they called me and they said, "You got to come next year." And I'm like, "I'm not going down there for that." So like in 2006, they started bucking me about coming. And I was like, "That's just a waste of time. I'm not doing it. You guys are stupid." So I went in 2007 and I stood up there at the bridge when them guys came down that hill into 10A and 10B. And I thought, I got to have one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's
like
about how mine went.
that year I found, golly, think about this. I found a running, driving S13 coupe in a guy's barn and bought it for $400. And it was running and driving. And
That's because of you,
baby.
That's because of you, motherfuckers.
That's right. It's all your fault that we
anymore.
can't do that anymore. So I built my first drift car with some help with some friends. And I was looking for a place to learn how to do it. And I was out to dinner with my wife. We're driving my truck wrapped,
Yeah.
And this kid pulls up beside me and says, "Hey, man, you ever do wraps on a drift car?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Well, I got one." I said, "You got a drift car?" And all of a sudden, I was like, "You're not my new best friend. We need to talk."
Yeah. Who was it?
And I was like, it was Jeremy Scherer. Do y'all remember Jeremy Scherer?
That name sounds familiar.
Like, he got out probably in 2009 or so, and he went down the road of like vintage race motorcycles and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Pretty cool little cat,
Yeah.
And he's got a family now, and he messes with those things still. He was a really good little driver, though.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't for him once we got it really rolling good. But gosh, we got to talking about it, and I was like, "Well, where do we have to go to do this?" And he goes, "Golly, we got to go to Atlanta, or we got to go to Myrtle Beach, or we got to." And I was like, "Really?" Well, at the time,
Myrtle Beach.
I was kind of sort of the official graphics guy for the Fairgrounds Racetrack, right? So I called.
Oh, you're the in.
I called the promoter and I said, "Hey, like one weekend, could I maybe rent a track from you on a Sunday and have a little drift event? And he's like, what's drifting? I don't know. I'm learning this as I go here, man, you know? So he says, well, you'll have to provide insurance. And I'm like, where do I go to get it? I don't know anything about this. So we figured out how to go to K&K Insurance and get insurance for an event. And I hosted my first event in September of 2009. And that was the first official drift event here in the Nashville area. There've been like some private days.
Sure.
The guys out at the Super Speedway, them old guys that were, golly, I can't remember any of their names now. It's been a while, but they were, there were some private days going at the Super Speedway, and there were some going out in that big parking lot out there that they've got in front of the media center. Yeah. And they'd been doing that some, but nothing really steady, you know? So we did 4. We did September, October, November, and December in 2009. We did 4 events. And back then it was all forums, you know. You had to put something out on a forum to get any attention to it. And, man, we put it out on 10-speed, and we put it out on 240 Atlanta and all of those. We probably had 50 cars at that first event. People came from 9 different states. We couldn't believe it. It blew our minds. We couldn't believe it. People were starving for it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of
just another track.
That was kind of how Tennessee Drift was born, you know?
So this is like my question is, for the insurance, is it like a bunch of hoops? Because if you talk to track people who run events, they make it sound like
they always sound stressed the fuck out.
Yeah. Is it really like that? Or once you kind of know the hoops, you can walk an insurance agent through it? Or
well, I've been doing it so long now, and I've been using the same guy for so long. You got a plug.
Like the first time, was it like, no, we can't do that? So
it was a little tough. You had to be a little vague with him what you were doing. You know, you had to be kind of like, you know, we're going to do some drifting in a parking lot. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, you know, we're just going to have a couple of cars out there sliding around. Nothing major.
Not 60.
Is there like barriers to protect from? Well, yeah, we got some, you know,
concrete pylons,
police tape, and some cattle gate or whatever. You know, it wasn't much. Barbed wire. Yeah, there's a chain link fence, sort of, kind of.
That's awesome.
That's so you kind of gotta not tell them that you're everything that you're doing. You know, you can get a little too specific for the insurance guys.
Has that kind of changed over time, though?
Well, it has. You know,
now that he knows,
now that we've done 60 plus events and never had the first incident, they don't even ask. You know, they say, they make me do a little aerial map, and this is where the fence will be, and this is where the spectators will be, and this is where the cars will be, and it's easy to get a certificate anymore.
Okay.
But like to make it easier on us, we don't insure one event. We buy a policy that's good for 6 or 8, and we pay up front.
Okay.
So we will spend, you know, $5,000 right out of the gate in January, but that's good for the first 6 events or so.
Oh, wow.
So,
and it doesn't matter like where they're located?
Well, it does a little bit, because the Super Speedway has different requirements than the fairgrounds, than Beach Bend, than a parking lot, say, over in Sevierville. You know, the Super Speedway makes us carry $5 million aggregate coverage.
So do you have to have the schedule like completely lined up for that then?
Pretty close.
Because that's some crazy shit.
Damn, so if you throw one, you're really throwing. Like if you have to toss one out, you're like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm. It can get a little scary.
Yeah. That's pretty tough. I was curious about that, how big a risk it was.
What's the most risky one you've had to jump into?
Well, the Super Speedway is the big one, you know, because especially with the way the rent has gone up now, we've got a pretty big nut to cover when we do one at the Super Speedway.
Yeah.
What did it used to be compared to now?
Dude, when I first started renting the Super Speedway in 2010, I could rent that whole place for $2,500.
Is that with like the garage bays and everything included? No shit.
Yeah,
dude.
but it was closed at the time. See,
it
wasn't open.
So they were just making money, just sitting.
Yeah,
it's a lot nicer now.
So what is it now?
So now
$5,000.
It's $7,500, and it's going up. It's going to be $10,000 next year.
Jesus Christ!
So y'all don't be mad at me if it costs a little more to drive at the Super Speedway next year. But that's why we've had to do these double events here lately with the autocross guys too, because we got to have 100 cars.
Yeah, to cover the cover the money.
Yeah,
damn,
it's that expensive to do an event.
Well, I wanted to bring up some of your cars and stuff, because even since we've both known you, you've been through. Well, even besides, you've got a shit ton of these. We just went in the back and saw
You need to do some B-roll.
But
I know.
Yeah,
right?
we can take some B-roll after the episode. But,
It was funny the other day. Ricky was walking along and he goes, have you stopped to think about how many remote control cars you have? And I went, and I started making a count, and I think the count's around 30.
God damn.
Okay, that's not as bad as I expected,
Because it's
honestly.
these,
really?
I was going to expect like
it's
50.
It's stuff at the house. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm deep into that.
Well, besides those, what you've been through several cars since we've known you. Give us a rundown on like your past few cars.
So my very first car was that 13 Coupe I was telling you about, and I almost had it running. And a good friend of mine, Brent, down in Atlanta, decided he had to have it. And so he had found me a 14, and I wanted a 14 anyway because they're a bigger car. I'm a bigger guy, a little more room.
They're cooler too, I think.
So,
and I'm an S13 guy. I think Cookie S14s are just.
So he found me he found me that 14, and it was a Zinky, and we started building that one. And he like took my car and put his motor in it and was driving, and I was like, man, it took me another year, to have a car on the track. Yeah. But that car is the car that affectionately became known as the Bunny because I had a Warner Brothers camo wrap on it when we first put it together, and it had a big Bugs Bunny head on the roof and everything, or on the hood, and I even wrapped my helmet as Bugs Bunny with the ears going up across the top of it and all that stuff.
Wrapping the fucking helmet.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot sometimes.
I ought to lay it up here.
God.
I'll run get it if we take a break. It's over there in that shelf. But
no, I just realized that you could wrap a helmet. And so I was like, I need to wrap my helmet to match my car.
It sucks.
I'm an idiot.
You can do it. I've done a bunch of them.
I should have just brought it in. Yeah. I could have got my mark to pay for it.
Yeah, right.
I'm an idiot, dude. Fuck.
Could have just put it in with the deal.
Yeah, man. Fuck. So stupid. Yeah, so
that car stayed with me for 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years, actually.
What was the setup on that car?
It was, man, it kind of evolved, when we first built it. I never learned how to drift in a 4-cylinder car. I was already racing, so I was already used to the power.
Same here.
So we just put a regular old 5.7 in it. And that was before there were kits, so we made everything. We notched the cross member. We put the GTO oil pan in it.
Notched the cross member?
Yeah, yeah. You used to cut it for clearance, and you cut the piece out at the top, flip it upside down, weld it back in, so you had a dip instead of a top like that.
That's cool.
And then the oil pan literally set in that hole. Yeah.
Not a truck pan, but a car pan
a
GTO
pan.
Damn, he's dropping some fucking old school knowledge on y'all, son.
We had to put a piece of rubber because it literally sat on the cross member.
You know how I was telling you I have
there was
three?
No clearance.
One of them I have is cut like that.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out
what the heck was.
Like, dude, they've watched the other episodes, so they know I'm an idiot. And so I'm like looking at this cross member, and I'm like, why the fuck would anybody do that? These are $500. Dude, if you want to buy one of these, it's $500.
Back in the day,
so like me and Chris were just staring at it. We drank like 20 Twisted Teas. We're like, I don't know why anybody would cut it like that. And now I know it's insane.
There wasn't no such thing as a sicky piece or a sicky pan or any of that.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering where the name of the podcast came from, Circle of Life. That was just like the perfect fucking.
That's hilarious.
So after that car, we sold that car as a roller to a kid up in Michigan that was going to make it a hand control car. He'd been in a dirt bike accident. And, you've heard of the chair slayer and all that guy. He had met that guy, and that guy was going to help him build a car. So he found my chassis for sale, and he bought it. And I was hoping to get to finally see that, but I don't think that ever came. I think they both got sick, and it never actually happened. But
that sucks.
I see that car buzzing around every once in a while. It's still blue with the graphics on it, where it was the Caribbean's finest car there for a while.
That guy, dude, that chair slayer guy is like...
He's a fucking G, dude.
It's nuts, dude. Like how?
Yeah, like where, like not...
Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like not where do you find the time, like, he's disabled, and so you're like, where do you find the time to like do all that?
Yeah.
Because I know how much time it takes me to do something by myself. I hate working on cars by myself. So like working on cars by myself, when I know another guy in a wheelchair has built a whole company, I'm like, dude, what the fuck, bro? Oh, dude, he's a beast, man. Like, it's just crazy. I'm just like, dude, how does that guy find the time to do anything? It's crazy.
Well, what's been
don't cut that up where I look like I'm hating on Chair Slayer.
We'll see.
Dude, you don't understand.
Anyways,
get out there, man.
He's a beast.
Which car has been your favorite so far besides this one?
So, the Z06 is pretty cool. The Z06 is pretty cool. I wanted a fixed roof coupe when we first started looking for a vet. And
I will say the C5's not my favorite body style, but I would definitely choose a C6.
Well, I wanted a C6, and
they're
just
fucking expensive.
They're still
and
too
you get
high,
on Marketplace and you're like, I
don't think it's that good. No,
I'm too cheap, man. So
also, it's weird. Caleb has a C6, and it's the tweener model that has the C5 style rear end bolted to the. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the last.
Dude, you remember that event that he went to at NSS? Dude, he only did one event on the car and blew the diff up. So we had to swap the diff. And dude, when people online tell me that Corvettes are easy to work on, fuck you.
Yeah, right.
If you got a big shop and a lift.
Yeah, you got a big shop and a bunch of specialty tools. Sure, I'm sure it's easy. But dude, me in my garage drunk, not easy. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
My nephew Michael will tell you that now that he's done 4 or 5 for me and for him and for a couple other guys, now they're finally getting to where they're easy to work on.
Yeah, so you know what has to come off. Like, I remember we got up underneath one and it had like, dude, I'm telling you, it was like 2 rows of 50 bolts. And I was like...
That's the belly pan that covers the...
What's wrong with these engineers?
Yeah.
That's got to come down to get
I remember I looked at it and I looked at Caleb and I was like,
what?
Well, go get the 10. You're going to do that. I'm not doing that.
We're expected to do this shit?
Yeah, it was wild. It is a race car, though. They're very race car, the way they're built.
They are. They're really nice. But I got to say, the Drift Taxi was a cool car, too.
Very cool.
Like, that was right when Forsberg had built his about 2 years before I built that one, and we looked at a lot of pictures of his. And actually, when I got it built, I went to a Grid Life in that car. And he was there, and I walked up to him and talked to him for a minute, and he was the largest penis I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe what a jerk that guy was.
Really?
Because he seems like he's so cool, but he is a big, giant dick. But he...
Wow.
He would not even talk to me. He would not even come and look at the car. He was not interested in anything anybody had to say unless they were talking about him. So
wow,
what a dirtbag.
That's my Chris Forsberg story. But I do have some really cool footage because I followed him and Frederick Rosbo down the S's, and I had my dash cam on. So like they're slowly pulling away from me, but it's pretty cool to see that footage out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Grid Life was a pretty cool show. That was a good time.
I gotta go there one day.
Wow,
I got to do that twice.
Do you know how many crybabies are going to come in the comments and be like,
Yo, you don't actually know Chris Forsberg like that.
It'll all be people
that's what the
never
audience
even
sounds
come within
like
100
to me.
feet of them.
Yeah. Well,
Well, fuck them.
You gotta image of somebody until you meet them in person.
Dude,
Yep.
I literally have this saying.
Don't meet your heroes. Everyone says it,
That's the saying. Never meet your heroes,
crazy.
dude.
Yeah, you don't want no part of it.
Yeah, I was a little leery. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little leery going into Shulman because I didn't know, like, he's like the first person we got to meet that was ever, I guess,
Like
on a well-known channel or whatever. You know.
He's the first made guy.
So I was like, is he gonna be how he's on camera and shit?
Oh, dude, super chill.
Nervous.
Down to earth, hella cool. Very
Sick.
like open-minded, like, like he's a big Jay-Z guy. I'm obviously an LS guy. And like we went, we talked back and forth. He wasn't like, F those motor, whatever. He was very like open about
I
it,
understand.
It was cool, He was a very chill guest.
Well, back to the event organization and stuff.
Yeah.
What's kind of like the most difficult thing to deal with when you are organizing an event?
Honestly,
no matter where it is.
If it's a new venue, it's those people. It's making sure that they understand that you're not a bunch of idiots that are going to come out and tear their property up. That's
Just
the biggest
convincing,
thing.
basically.
Yeah. But once you can show them video and you can show them that you've been doing events for 10 years now and you've got 50 under your belt with no incidents, that's big. They like to hear that.
Sure.
How would you propose someone to, like, if they were trying to host an event for the first time, how would you propose they walk into that meeting? Should you have the video ready? Should you have any type of speech prepared?
You almost need somebody to go with you that already has done it anymore.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
You need a plug.
You really do. You need
I kind of figured it would be that way.
Well, like when we first started going to Sevierville, it was when Louis' business had really taken off and his baby had just been born. And he called me and he was like, dude, do you want to do East Tennessee for me for a couple of years because I've just got too much on my plate? And I was like, sure, let's keep it alive,
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So he literally calls the guy at the Smoky Stadium and says, I'm going to turn this over to Barry. Barry's been doing it longer than I have. He helped me get started, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, man, the conversation with Mr. Dennis out there at the Smoky Stadium was gravy.
Yeah.
Like he said, Louis says you're good with me. So it was that simple.
That's cool. That's very
you
cool.
got that guy.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
about
actually,
what you
speaking of
know,
the-
it's about who you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of the East 10, though, didn't you work for with that organization way
In
beforehand?
the very beginning, like they're only 2 years, 3 years younger than Tennessee Drift.
Yeah.
You know, I had barely been doing it for just a little while, and I honestly knew just enough to be dangerous. You know, But
That could be the name of my
but this
autobiography,
guy,
homie.
right? So, like, this guy named Louis calls me out of the blue and says, "Hey, I hear you do events in Middle Tennessee," and I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I want to do them in East Tennessee," and I'm like, "Cool." I didn't know who this guy was, you know. I didn't know if I needed to talk to him or not, but he was so cool and so easy to talk to, and he had his ducks in a row, you know.
Yeah.
Louis
He knew
always
what's
seemed
up.
like that guy.
You could tell that he wasn't just some stupid kid.
Yeah.
He was serious. He wanted to do it right. And I said, let's do it, man. I said, and I don't remember the details. It's been so long ago, but I helped him a lot as far as just giving him those pointers as to what the stuff I had already learned. But it's so cool to see what he took and did with it, because he went way past what I did. You know, going all the way to having that, you know, that association with Formula D and doing that Pro-Am
Pro-Am
stuff.
series.
You know, he just launched it over there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I never really wanted to do competitions here. I just wanted to do cool, chill practice events and grow the scene.
I feel like that's a whole another amount of stress you just throw on top of
know,
yourselves just getting into that world.
Dude, even from just the driver's seat when we did the King of Clarksville, man, it was like the pressure.
You're telling me
the
I was
pressure
first lap out and destroyed my car.
Yeah, just the pressure difference is just crazy. So I can't imagine it from the event coordinator side. It would just be awful.
Well, you know, coming out of round track racing, coming out of that kind of stuff, that was every Saturday night was just, where am I going to find that extra 10th? Why is that guy that much faster than me? How can I get better, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, when I started doing these chill events, it was so much fun, and just everybody smiling and laughing, and
Everything stops eating at you.
2-car, 3-car, 4-car trains. Oh, they hit. Oh no, there's going to be a fight. No, they're hugging. What? You know, it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
my hammer.
You know?
You've done Clarksville a couple of times, right?
yeah.
You been there?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you know, you were my first event ever back in 2000 and
Really?
yeah, ever.
Where at? Was it
Beach Bend.
Beach Bend? That's right.
Oh, wow.
Beach Bend was my very first event ever. Like, of course, you won't remember me, but I remember because I was
scary
the
track for a
first
first
person
event.
to the line.
Oh, nice.
I was the first guy out there. I was just like, you know, I think I either had Caleb with me or Hannah, and they were like, "Are you going to go?" And I was like, I don't know. You know, I was just like, ready
that's
to,
me.
I was-
What do I do?
dude, I was just ready to
What do I
rock.
do now?
And you said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And you were like, "Go!" And I just fucking stood on it. So that was like my very first
love it.
event was Beach Bend, and so I was super excited because like I did pretty good. I never spun out. Like now we had made all the shit for my car, so I kind of already had power and angle. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Nice.
I
You
wasn't
Came
really
from
trying
the
to brag
sim
about
world
it
and everything too.
Yeah. So I knew about it. So then Casey and Chris tell me to go to Clarksville. And so in my mind, it's going to be run like a Barry Clapp event. Right?
no.
Dude.
Absolutely
Clarksville
not.
is like
You
the
could
fucking
not have been more
airport,
wrong.
bro. If you're tired, take a nap in your truck. You want a beer? That's $7. You know, like a bag of chips is $10. It's crazy, man. But so we go there and like, dude, I remember there was dudes they were driving beside each other on the run up, and they're throwing beers between cars.
Oh, God.
You know, like just wild, right?
gosh.
And I was like, there's no fucking way that this is all that
It's
you
the
can
circus
do.
of drifting.
I'm just saying,
Middle
man.
Tennessee,
And so
basically.
honestly, like your event was like, I was like, damn, everybody in drifting is so nice. And I was completely hooked. But then I went to Clarksville and I was like, damn.
These people kind of
These
suck,
are
actually.
no. I was like, this is my people, bro. These people are the shit. Like, dude, everybody, dude. I swear, I walked out of the bathroom, and the reason I thought of the story is because you said everybody's smiling. I walked out of the bathroom. I had on my Adam LZ. What is that hat called? You know what I'm
The
talking about?
safari hat?
The safari hat. I had
Nice.
dude, but I was bareback wearing swim trunks.
Nice.
And I looked over, and dude, as far as the eye could see, everybody was smiling, even the boys that were broke down. They were all having a good time. And I
Nice.
was like, dude, this is fucking sweet. You know, like everybody's chill. We ended up fixing a guy's car, even though my car was broke. You know, it was just very cool. And I was just like, yeah, dude, I like this sport.
This is
you know,
lit.
Yeah.
I want to try some other stuff, but drifting is like where I got that right here. It's very cool.
Well, speaking of getting into drifting, You do a lot of beginner days, so how have those been going for you? Are those pretty successful?
Well, it's crazy. Every time I try to only do a couple a year so that there's a lot of interest. I feel like if we do too many, they'll get too, we'll get down to two. We won't have enough drivers because they have to be a little bit more expensive because there's still track rental, there's still insurance that has to be paid, that kind of thing. So, but I try to limit beginner days to only 20 drivers or less so that I can give that special attention. I don't want to just throw you in a car and say go like I did him at his first.
Did you mess that up the first time when you hosted in a beginner day?
No,
did you make too many people there?
No, I limited it. And
you did?
The very first one I did was great. It was fantastic. And we had 20 drivers and everybody. We start out with a pretty deep meeting, like better than just a regular old driver's meeting. We almost have a little class. We don't sit down or nothing, but we talk about what we're going to learn specifically. The very first one we did out in the parking lot in front of the media center at the super speedway.
Oh yeah,
and I got
I remember that.
I got 2 or 3 drivers that were good drivers to come and help instruct, and to kind of show, to be the first car out to show the people that didn't know anything where they were supposed to go and all that. I remember Hooman came in that beat up old 300Z used to have with it bouncing on the back end, everything, didn't have coilovers on the back or nothing, But that's been a really fun thing to do, is to take somebody, because even though I've run some Pro-Am stuff and I've competed a little bit, that's not where my strong suit is as far as teaching it. I'm better at that very beginner that's never done it. I can
people into the sport.
Take you if you've never even driven a stick shift car, if you've never even barked the tires. I can take you.
I see you put that in your ads too. You're like, literally you can have no knowledge, just a fucking welded diff and
there's 2 or 3 little things that we got to learn, and I can have you doing a really nice big figure 8 by the end of the day.
Nice.
And it's the kind of thing where once you learn that figure 8, you've learned that transition. You don't even realize it, and you can just about go to any parking lot event and link the course.
Yeah,
because that's all it's about, is that transition.
You got that feel. That was that was one of my bigger works, because I started at MIR in Memphis, so that was like and it was that weird road course layout. So it was that 90 to 90, a long straight, and then just a bunch of S's. And it was wet as fucking hell, like sleeting that day. It was a horrible experience. But what was one thing that's like you've noticed, at least in the previous beginner days, that's really kind of make things click for people?
I love to look them in the eyes. I love to be the guy standing at the front. I run the gate on those. I run the starting line on those so that I can talk to each driver. And then when we do, like, the first thing we learn is a big donut, and I'll set out a 10 or 12 foot circle, and I'll stand in the middle of that circle and have a car doing donuts around that. And I've had to dive out of the way a couple of times. But
I bet that ups the ante to where the other person is like can't just halfway through like half-ass it. They know, like, hey, it's really important. That
and if they do fuck up, I'm sure it trains their reflexes too.
Well, but being in the middle of that circle, when they start to get wild and get out wide, I can tell them, hey, come back in here, come back here.
Pull it in.
I want you to stay 5 feet off of these cones. Don't be getting out there wide, because that's when you get in trouble. But it's good to be able to yell at them too, and they can hear what I'm saying to them, and I can tell them, what they're doing, because there's just, how it is. There's only 2 or 3 little things that you need to get. I like to say that you got to get your head and your butt on the same channel on. There's a couple of things that your brain's telling your body to do, but your butt's saying, dude, we can't do that. And once you get on the same page on a couple of things, then it gets a lot easier.
That's a big thing for me.
So is it all? Only reason I ask this is for Hannah. So well, I have a sister, and she wants to. She has 3 brothers, and we all like to go to drift events. So she wants to learn. Now, I've like let her back my car off the trailer, and everybody is always like, "Oh, what the fuck, dude? It's a girl's car," like, you know what I'm saying? They all trip out about it. But my question would be, is there an automobile there that you train on before they get in a car, or would I just have to turn Shark car way down and let her go out there in that car? Like, I've never been to one. I would actually like to go to one.
Brennan let Celeste go out in his car before it was supercharged.
So Brennan let Celeste do some laps in the car, and the car was still too much for her because she was literally had never done anything before.
She hadn't done anything.
And I got in the car with her, and she was to where she was letting off as soon as the car started to slide.
Yeah.
And so I literally sat in the car with her, and I said, "Listen, look at me in the eyes.
Stay in it.
Turn the wheel all the way to the left." And mash the throttle and don't let off until I tell you to.
Yeah.
And don't turn the wheel. And all we did was just go in a big circle.
Yeah.
But it got her over that.
The fear.
Holy crap, we're sliding.
Yeah.
Okay, I see this is okay, right? Yeah. And then what's the other girl in that same little group?
Alex Culver.
Yes, Culver. So she took to it. She had just learned to drive a stick the week before.
Oh, dude, I've got videos of her, dude. She's a
her first day at Clarksville. She did
crushed
great.
shit.
That was a week after that class she came to, and I had her doing the figure eight. She took to it like nothing.
That car was broke too.
Yeah.
That car, you would get in it, it would keep cutting off mid. I took it out and it cut on me, and she was like driving through it. I was like, God damn, what a badass!
I hopped in it with her once, and we did like 2 laps, and she just killed it.
Yeah,
both laps.
it.
So I was like,
that's
wow,
one of my favorite.
Impressive.
That's one of my favorite Facebook posts. Was he put up a post that said, "Just in case you needed to know, Barry's drift classes work."
Yep.
Yeah.
Because she went out there.
I bet that felt good.
Yeah, it did.
How much is it?
Yeah.
How much is it?
Well, it totally depends on where we have to do it, but I think that one was $125, $150, something like that. It's generally it's not. It just depends on where we can go and do it. We did one at Clarksville one time, and I think it was about $150.
Yeah, to anyone looking, like that's about your average.
I try to keep
driving
them as
ticket
cheap
anyways.
as possible. You know.
Yeah.
I try to look at anything like that as what would I pay to do that? I wouldn't pay $200 for it, so I don't want to charge $200. I wouldn't pay that, so I don't.
Well, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just turn it all the way off. It'll just be.
Well, there's a new little something that I like to tell you guys about that it just happened in the last couple of weeks. So Slide Factory, we are going to begin to. We not only build drivers, we're going to be building parts. We're going to be building cars. But I have bought 2 cars to use as trainers, to use as rentals.
No way.
I've bought a little Mustang GT and I bought a little 350Z. And so we are going to have 2 cars available next year for the beginners classes, for rental at a regular event, that kind of thing.
That would be awesome.
Okay,
because
I'll prepay.
I know,
because that'll be a good, that'll be a good gift for Hannah. She'll be like, "You did what?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I would let her drive. I don't think my car would get hurt, but I just don't know if my car is one of those cars where, if something breaks, only I know how to fix it.
She don't need to learn in that monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big thing for boyfriends and stuff that are, especially in this area that I've heard, that they want to take their girlfriend out there to just let them learn, but they have a fucking 600, 500 horsepower car.
And you don't need to learn in a big power car. You need to learn in a low power car anyway.
Yeah.
You do. You need to learn because if you learn in a big power car and you're not used to that, it can teach you bad habits. Mm-hmm. You need to learn how to drive the low horsepower car and then add power to it. That's just better to learn that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was not a joke though. I'll seriously prepay.
Yeah.
For real.
With a car rental, we're still working on what that number is going to look like. And
y'all probably have to get done building the cars and everything before you could even decide on a number, right?
Yeah. We've got to put the 350Z's ready to go. Anybody that knows, it was Elijah's car, Elijah White. He and Ashley are getting ready to move to California, and he was like, I know.
Sorry.
Right? I know. But her dad's out there, so she wants to go out there for a little while. You know, more power to her on that.
Yeah.
But we bought that little car just in case they want to come back, and he wants to buy it back one day. So So I said, well, sell it to me for what you want to buy it back for, and that's what we did. And
there you go.
So now we've got a nice little car that's already set to go, and then that old Mustang's sitting out back here. We just got to put a angle kit and a brake in it and weld the diff up, and it's ready to go. So.
Okay. Dude, that'll be fucking sweet.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome for those beginner days.
Hannah would like that, I feel like.
Now I got to buy a dang trailer that I can haul 3 cars on, you know. One of those big open, big ramp suckers, I guess. I got to buy one of those now.
Yeah.
So, did you see the post on Facebook about how I bought my truck? I'm not going to tell the story again, but basically a guy told me if it's such a good, I'm a car salesman for those who don't know. The guy came in, was trying to negotiate, said he didn't like that it was a long bed and that it was too expensive. And then I pointed out that it wasn't too expensive, that it was the cheapest 2,500 in 75 miles. He was like, well, if it's, and this is the exact verbiage he used, if it's such a good price, you smart ass, why don't you buy it? So I bought it. So now
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. That was good timing. So like, so now
I knew the story. So.
Yeah. So now I have this like truck that'll pull like 18.1 at the tongue.
Yeah.
And I only pull shark car, you know, like I don't really do anything. So me and my brother have been talking about maybe picking up a 2-car that comes up a little. So we'll see.
I thought as soon as you got that truck, I was like 2-car truck. 2-car wedge, 2-car wedge.
Well, dude, if I get like, what is the 3-car
It's such
weigh?
a flex, dude.
What does the 3-car weigh? Because if the 3-car weighs, then we could pull them off.
Well,
Josh doesn't really drift; he just goes and.
I mean,
drinks
you got to
beer.
think about 3,000 pounds per car. So, and
What's the
then
trailer's
whatever the
gonna
trailer
weigh?
weighs,
The trailer's going to weigh
A fuck
8,000
ton.
pounds in it, 10,000 pounds. I don't
you'll
know.
be pushing the limit. That's for sure.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to
with a
I wouldn't go
gasser.
very far.
Yeah, with a
gooseneck that
gasser.
baby.
Well, yeah, it'd be a goose, but I'm just saying, I don't know. Because that'd be cool if we could just load them all up and
Yeah.
not have to worry about it.
It'd be a fucking flex,
Yeah, everybody
dude.
jumps
Especially if y'all got the same livery and
Because
shit.
I've got to take this, so I can't be without my baby. So I got to be able to haul 3 of them suckers. That's what.
Before I
need.
leave, if I get you like the dimensions on my wheels, can you make me little American flags that are the length of one of my pegs?
Surely.
spoke.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. You know what I'm saying?
You chotch.
Everybody just gives me a hard
guy?
time. Dude, I just like cars. I'm not like a, I call wheels rims. All right, I'm terrible. All right, I'm
you're
not for
such a
anybody.
bum.
Yeah, I'm
Rims
like,
have
dude.
nets.
Listen, as far as car guys go, I'm like the PBR of car guys. Like I'm for some people, but not most people. You know what I mean? All right.
Anyways, the I wanted to bring this up. The Adrenaline series.
Yep.
Did you stop that, or is that still a thing? Or
That's one of them things that's still floating around out there. When we first launched it, we were so excited about it.
Yeah.
And everybody was scared of it. And so we really struggled getting a car count. And it really discouraged us because it takes like 4 hours to set that sucker up.
yeah.
We
I
have
went
to go
one.
the day before to set it up. And it was so much work to do that course. And it's cool as it could be.
Yeah, it's a cool event, and you get a lot. You technically do get a shit ton of seat time.
Oh, man. Especially
I
when there
actually
wasn't
had
but
the
12,
one-
14 cars,
Yeah, the one that I went to, I actually kind of had a bad experience. But it was just with a clipping point. The
Oh, nice.
You know those like wire barrels, those big ass wire barrels.
yeah.
Dude, I had just put brand new fenders on my car and painted it and shit.
nice, and you
I
caught a
was like,
spool.
of course, I'm drifting, so I'm gonna try and get as close to it as I can when I'm doing the figure 8, man. And just one little tap, nudging that thing, and it dented in both of my fenders that day. And once I dented in the second one, I was like, man, fuck this shit, I'm done.
That's hilarious.
So check it out. One of our buddies. So that's a mixture of drifting and autocrossing
Yeah.
and drag racing.
It's
and
like
all that.
Gymkhana.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really fun though.
So
Like, it
some
really
of our
is.
autocross guys came to try it, and they've got their expensive cars, that they and one of-
Cantilever Camaro type shit.
And our buddy Gerald Gregory, he's an older guy. He owns London Auto Sales. There's your plug, Gerald. He's who I bought my truck from, by the way, and I love my truck. But he had a C7 carbon 65, whatever that version is.
Oh, like the super fancy model?
Yeah, and he smashed a quarter panel on one of those spools like that.
Oh, dude, that car, dude, that.
I was like,
you said C7, right?
yeah, C7.
Dude, that's a dry sump car.
Carbon
Those are like
65
super
version or
fucking
whatever it is.
expensive, man.
Yeah, they're high
Yeah,
dollar.
just the oiling system is like $5,000.
Jesus Christ, dude.
LS7,
that.
the whole deal.
Yeah, that's fucking
Well,
sick.
since somebody else did have a little hiccup with those,
Mm-hmm.
what was the reason for choosing that instead of like just a stack of tires or something?
Putting the course together, it was whatever we could get our hands on.
I was
kinda
gonna say,
figured that's
I
what it was.
imagine that
The
when you're
guy over
setting
here
up,
at the
it's like,
electrical
dude,
company over
just-
here was like,
can we put here?
We'll give you 4 of those. I'm like, sweet. I can print a banner and staple it around the edge of it, and it'll look great.
yeah, that's killer.
And
Awesome.
we wanted to put the flags up on top of it.
Wes, dude, I remember when I first went mess. When I first met Wes,
Yeah.
he
Jesus,
could not.
son.
I know. I'm sorry. He could not stop raving about the Adrenaline Series.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Yeah.
He said it was
Never
so fun.
shut up about it.
Yeah, and like I was gonna do one, but I think my car. Actually, I know what happened, Chris. You blew it up.
Boo.
I just ended up free that weekend, and I was like, you know what?
nice.
Fuck it. I want to go try this thing because it was in Beach Bend.
Man,
so.
we had
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know if that's
we
what
had
happened.
all kind of crazy
That's what I'm
cars
blaming it
show
on.
up for that first one, dude. They were having a road race event over at the the NCM track.
Yeah.
And a guy brought his dang road race Ferrari over there and ran through it a couple of times, and the poor thing was set up for road racing, so it couldn't make the tight turns. So it was like, sure, he's out there plowing cones and stuff. But it was cool to see that Ferrari.
No fucking turn radius at
He
all.
couldn't do it, man. Yeah, the wheels didn't turn with that
drift
ball.
guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
Suckers.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of that stuff, I guess, do you have any like big event plans or just anything happening in the near future?
The biggest thing we've got coming up is this meeting that we have with the Super Speedway this month. They wanted to get through Thanksgiving, and before Christmas, they want Brian and I to go over and sit with them and talk schedule for next year, because there is going to be another rate increase, and we've got to figure out how bad they're going to ream us and how how much friggin' money it's going to take to rent that place.
Bend over, buddy.
It's awful, but I mean, it is what it is. That's what they do, and they got to make their money.
Yeah, they gotta get paid, right? I hate that, but they gotta get paid.
But doing the two events at one time, that helps it a lot. But we've just gotta I gotta beg all the drivers to not wait till the Friday night before the event to sign up, because my blood pressure can't take it. And it never fails that like Tuesday before an event, I've got 12 cars signed up and I'm going to lose my ass, But then by Friday night, 40 cars have signed up and I'm like, okay, I can breathe now. So.
Well, okay, so I would say that there's two parts to that.
Yeah.
One, I would say that you do say that in post, and I have seen you say it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that people understand why, and it's really important because like there are people I know that you want to act like I'm a fucking caveman, but it's true. There are people like
you are.
I'm just saying there are people like me, like I want to know why I need to do something.
Yeah.
If you tell me why, I'll just do it. I don't. It's fine. Like if I trust you, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
People understand that, so you should advertise that more. But also, I think that the other devil's advocate side of that is that people may not do it because they're not sure if their car is not going to be broke.
And I get that, and they're worried about the weather too, and I get that.
Sure. If you could come up with some sort of a guarantee where if the weather sucks, they get their cash back, then
and the older guys that have been around me forever know that I don't. I don't ever. If you come to one of my events and you break on your first run, you're probably going to get your money back, because that's the way I am. I don't.
Yeah, it sucks.
I don't get over on anybody. I want you to be sure that you come back. That's what I want.
Yeah, see, you need to remember that. You pieces of shit.
Yeah, pay the man. Come on.
Speaking of getting paid, so I just thought of this. I meant to put it in the notes, but I forgot. So Aaron Losey, during his Lone Star Drift events, the drivers out there, they get basically paid for doing ride-alongs and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that something you've ever thought about doing for the drivers?
We have done that a few times, and it's been good. It totally depends on the track and the rent and all of that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But we've, every once in a while, we get invited to go and host a drift event. Like we did one down at, during the Summit, what do they call that? The Summit Racing Nationals thing they do down at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And they paid us to come, and they put us in a hotel, and they invited us to bring 15 or 20 cars. And so we were able to say, we charge like $50 a ride and split it with the drivers. So the drivers got $25 every time they took somebody for a ride. And so everybody made money that day. It was a really good day.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we do want to do that more. We're actually in negotiations again this year with our BFG guys for their Share the Ride program that's on the back of the car. And what they do with that is they give us tires, and they want you to ride on their tires. So they call it their Share the Ride program. And so the more that we can incorporate that, I mean, they're not going to give tires to everybody, but we can probably use that to do more of that, split the ride-along stuff with the drivers and that kind of thing.
That would be a good compensation.
Yeah.
I like that.
I should have done that when I went to the NSS thing, dude. My ride-along line was like
That's like Drift HQ for tires.
Dude, I only turned like 19 laps, and I swear my fucking line was like 20 people long. Yeah. Like, I swear I ended up...
That's why you got to build a 4-door.
Because it becomes stressful at events.
Dude, let me tell you, when I had that 4-door car...
I didn't start. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, I
never got to ride in that. I should have.
I didn't start like with the plan of having a car where everybody want to ride in, and I just built a car, and I was like, dude, I just want to go fucking turn the earth backwards, you know? And then I have this car, and everyone's like, oh, right. And it's like hard, you know?
Yeah. I got to the point, because I mean, we would never get compensated or anything for it, because we were so new too that we weren't like really good per se. So I would just,
you know, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't even know.
But it would get annoying.
They think you're a pro.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
You go out there and do a couple of donuts, you smile and wink at them, they think he meant to do that. That's
awesome. Yeah, they think it's legit.
But you'd be in a situation where you're sitting in line and like you're just trying to fix something on your car and you got to test it and you just want to be by yourself, but like some dude comes walking up to your window and you're 2 cars ahead from going on grid. And they're like, can I ride with you? But that's you don't want to be the dick or anything.
That's the gamble. It's like, for $25, you might die. Get in. But
I hate being that guy. That's what sucks. I hate being that guy to like be like, well, yeah, if you give me $20 or whatever. Yeah. Because I built the car so that people can enjoy it with me.
Yeah.
So it sucks. And when you're in those situations, I would just keep somebody in the passenger seat all day.
When I did, when I went to NSS, everybody wanted to ride in the car. You know, I had to kick a guy out of the car so my mom could go for a ride. Oh well, for real.
I've had to do that too.
And like, my mom hates that car.
I feel you about the long line, because I always end up with a long line with that 4-door car. But the first time I ever did paid ride-alongs on that deal was at Louis and Human's Turismo thing.
What's the most you've made? What's the most you've made in one day off of ride-alongs in that car?
Man, in that car, it was easily $500.
Really?
Build a taxi, baby.
Because it was totally like they were charging $50 and splitting it with the driver. So I got $25 a head. So every lap I made, it was $75. I had 3 people in the car every time I went out, and they were handing us tickets.
One more on
dude, that was such a basic car too.
Put it in our pocket.
Yeah, that was such a simple car. Didn't you have like all stock arms underneath it and everything too?
Yeah. The only thing that made that car really nice was, of course, we put a really nice cage in it.
Oh yeah.
We put 4 seats and 4 sets of harnesses, and then I put an intercom system in it like a small aircraft. So I gave you your own helmet that had a boom mic, and you plugged in, and we can talk just like this while we're running around the track.
Is that something you're thinking about incorporating in like the beginner days too?
I mean,
like even if it's just a walkie-talkie or something that would be.
I was gonna ask the same thing. That would be pretty smart.
Yeah, because like you said, for them to be able to hear you when you say "come here," like hand motions work, but it's like you'd be like, "Hey, come closer." Back up a little bit.
Be able to put a helmet on them where I could talk to them would be good. That is a great idea.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you think, dude? This is the motherfucking.
I know.
I'm really trying to be so good, dude. But I'm just like,
we're sorry, buddy.
That's all me. I sit in that one every day.
All right. So, have you heard about everybody quitting Fitment Industries?
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. Should we even cover that?
What is Fitment Industries?
I mean, you tell like a short story about it.
It's too long. It's too long. We would have to cut it. It would be like another 20 minutes if we were going to do the whole story. Like, it's long. Like, it's like, it goes back.
All right, well, drop it in the comments if you want us to talk about that.
Yeah, if you want us to talk about Fitment Industries and all their employees dropping off and where we think their company is going to go after this. Obviously, they're huge. But if you want us to talk about it...
No, you're good. Keep saying it.
Then let us know. Otherwise, I don't know if we have time right now, because it would add like another 20 or 30 minutes runtime to this episode. So... what about? Or are you going to do this one?
Yeah, I want to bring
this one. You do this one. You do this one.
Do you like Porsches or Porsches? Mm-hmm. Okay,
we just striped a really nice one.
They drive phenomenal, like I said before.
Striped.
Oh,
striped it twice because the customer brought it to us. We striped it. Then he took it to go have it PPF'd. When they PPF'd it,
they tore it up.
Went over the stripes, and so there's a bubble. And he didn't like that, so he took it back off. He peeled the stripes off of it. They PPF'd it. Then we striped it. Then he ceramic coated it.
That's the most Porsche story I've heard my whole life. All y'all motherfuckers are like that too. They're like, oh, dude, I had a guy.
Love you, Dustin.
I had a dude. Oh, I'm sure you're fine. But it's like you have dudes that like they suck out the air bubbles with a syringe type people. You know, that's the same guys that buy Porsche and they're like, have you seen that my car is Centerlog? Have you seen that? They all love to talk about their additions, you know,
the C8 guys that come with the cars come with twin rear calipers.
Yeah. They're all the same way. They want to talk about their extra pieces, you know.
Yep. Well, actually, anyways, I wanted to bring that up because Cletus McFarland doesn't like Porsches either.
He doesn't like the way they look.
The way they look. Okay. Same as me. I love the way they drive. They're great.
Cletus McFarland
a 944 is the only one that's good.
Crown Vic is a cool car. So how
that's
much can we actually give him?
You're not going to fucking believe this.
I don't understand that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have this kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't call it fantasy because I feel like we could probably do it in like 2 or 3 years. But one of the things that we're talking about maybe doing is if we get big enough, we could maybe buy somewhere like Twin Fountains, maybe purchase that place, and then do like a homologated drift series.
Sure.
And one of the things that we would probably either do would be a 350Z. Dude, this goddamn. I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying to brace myself.
Listeners.
I'm trying to brace myself with my feet so I don't move around. But
You're
it's
so
like,
excited.
I'm sorry. I'm a verbal. I'm a moving person. I talk. All right. So one of the things that we talked about doing was either a 350Z or a Crown Victoria with a T5 swap, and everybody drive the same shit, and everybody's got the same thing, right? Because there's not. As far as I know, well, he's a perfect person for this. So there's not another event where everyone drives the same
car. Yeah.
There's nowhere else either, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not wrong there, right? Nobody else, everybody else, there's
that
all
would be
these,
like a spec
the
series.
Closest
like
thing
is with
Lone Star, I think, or I don't know if they still do it, but they did a street league event comp type deal where you had to drive. Most of them were Z's, basically. It was basically a ton of Z's out there.
Yeah, but
it had to be stock power.
But that's because it was the cheapest, not because it was homologated and provided, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the reason Cletus's thing is so cool is because you show up and the cars are already there.
Yeah.
Right.
You get to draw and pick one and you just go.
Right. So we thought about doing the same thing, but a homologated series for either a Crown Vic or, which Crown Vic would honestly be like a rip, but you would have to see a couple of these Crown Victoria body kits they make now.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the American Chaser.
Nice.
It's like the American JCX. It really works.
The Mercury Marauder.
Yeah, whatever. You'd have to see it. I'm telling you, if you saw this picture, you'd be like, okay, no, I get it. You know, because I'm not a Vic guy. I'm not a Ford guy.
We could all do big body Monte Carlos.
Or so
like our boy,
dude.
Man,
like Justin,
like Napier.
Shit, that would be cool, honestly.
Dude, the fact that car is like methanol, but the doors aren't welded shut is wild to me. You know,
well, that's an old street stock race car. Is what that is. That's his dad's old Highland Rim or something street stock race car that they just decided, hey, I want to learn how to drift. And he came to one of my clinics with that thing. I was like, really, dude? You know, he was like,
it rips though.
And I got to say, I was a little bit mean to him at the very beginning, and I love him now, and he knows it. But like when he first came to me, and he was like, hey, man, you got any advice to, about turning this thing into a drift car? And I said, yeah.
Get a different car.
Buy a drift car.
Yeah.
That's my best advice.
This is not a drift car. Go buy a drift car. But he came and he wanted to learn, and then we got to talking about, golly, me and he and his dad stood around that front end of that car, and I was like, do this, and this to get you some angle, and you might have something. And that kid's ripping in that car now.
Oh, he loves it,
so much
bro.
fun to drive.
Oh,
it's
he loves
so much
it.
fun to watch him drive.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And his dad brings me like a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit at every event. I just love
Jeff,
those guys. Yeah, they're awesome.
Dude, I'll like post something on Facebook, and he comments. He's like, hell yeah, America. You know,
dude,
I'm like, fuck yeah, man.
Jeff.
Speaking
Jeff
of that
Napier,
biscuit, I will say, getting you a biscuit before the fucking track day, it tastes different.
Yeah.
That shit tastes different.
And I'm out there setting up the course, and here comes Jeff Napier, and I'm like, man, what's he want? I'm on a time schedule here. I don't have time to talk.
Here you go.
And he walks up and he's got a bag full of biscuits, and I'm like, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're killing it.
Hell yeah. All right.
So what do you think about the homologated drift series? What do you think that's? Do you think it would work, or do you think it would fail?
Well, I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it. I think if you had 12, 14, 16 of those cars, and you can invite certain people to come out and make it a big deal, I think it would be a blast.
Yeah.
Especially if it was people that were kind of sort of in the drift scene, but maybe in other disciplines.
Yeah.
It was like an IROC type deal.
Yeah. I don't think you would be able to do it without influencers and having a following yourself.
Absolutely. You're going to have to
but who wouldn't participate?
Oh, my gosh.
I feel like most people would participate,
but I don't think you could charge people enough to outweigh the cost without making money from like AdSense or pay-per-view like Cletus does.
You'd have to own your own
like
facility like he does.
You'd have to have your
that too.
Well, I mean, okay.
Until you got big enough to rent a Bristol like you did. Like, I'm surprised nobody died when they did those Crown Vics at Bristol.
I also thought that was pretty wild. Dude, when they were like,
that was stupid,
when he was pulling the cars up on the bank and the cars were starving themselves of oil because of how banked it was, I was like, dude.
Did you see the couple of crashes in that dude?
Yeah, I saw they were wrecking. It was just like, I just remember seeing that the cars were starving themselves because of how steep the angle was. And I was just like, bro, you're like, dude, like you can just tell, man, Cletus is always he's on the cusp of Icarus on the sun. You know, he's right here. If he flew any higher, man, his wings would melt. He's right there on the edge.
Dude, he tested the whole fucking riding the wall, the bank.
Oh, yeah, with the casters on the outside of the
NASCAR
car.
Dude.
Yeah. Cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things where it's like that, like that play is not the play unless unless
the stakes are just there.
Unless the stakes are set, you could pass 4 or 5 guys. You're probably not going to make the rest of the lap because he made the hit and then did the lap when really he should have done, at least in my opinion, he should have went around and then crossed the finish line on the wall ride. That would have made it make more sense. This is the loudest chair of my whole life.
It was turns 3 and 4 on the last lap that he did it. So when he came out of turn 4, he was at the finish line. That was the last turn in the last lap of the last race.
Okay, it was? That's because that's what I thought originally.
It was the
and then you told me different. So
it was the last lap of the it was the last 2 turns of the last lap of the race.
2 turns.
Well, 3 and 4, it's one big turn, but they call it 2.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I think slowed it down is I guess maybe that's what I thought, is that the initial, because like the inertial force of slamming against the wall is going to...
though. Well, Ross. Are you talking about Cletus?
No.
You're talking about Cletus.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about Cleet. I'm like, Ross Johnson, it worked.
Ross did it. Ross grabbed 5th gear.
That's some real science.
That worked mint. I wasn't talking about him. I was talking about Cleet. Cletus hit the wall, and then he stayed in it and ran another lap.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, that was slower. And I'm like, well, yeah. You hit the wall first. But like, I didn't want to be like, I'm not like trying to shit on Cleet, You got
to blend into that wall.
Yeah, like hit it and then ride, but only on the last one. It's like one of those things where you don't hit the, you can hit the nitrous, you're going to make 1,500 horsepower, but it's going to explode at the end of the run. So you definitely want to save that for the last 1,500 feet. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, where can they find you at? Online, anywhere?
Online, golly, I've got 10 different pages. We do most everything on Facebook. I'm an old guy. I'm just now getting into the Instagram stuff. I'm not very good at it yet. But we do have Slide Factory pages on Facebook and Instagram. There's a YouTube channel called BC Driven that's got a lot of my old in-car stuff from the taxi and a lot of cool videos. You can see those videos from chasing Forsberg down the S's at Road Atlanta and things like that. And then everything about graphic effects here. If you need any vinyl, any kind of wraps, anything done like that.
Right in the heart of Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, man, right here in Murfreesboro.
So. All right.
Hell yeah.
Come see me.
Hell yeah. Well, we sure do appreciate you coming on and letting us record here, of course. But that's it for this one, guys. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed and grab the merch. But that's it. See you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Yo.